Yes, before this video begins, also to note, don't watch the video if you don't like my, literally opinions on season 1 of My Little Pony. And yes, I have all the ranking list of what I'm gonna say in the video for the ranking tier list made. So I wouldn't forget in the video. So, without further ado, let's get into the season 1 ranking of the My Little Pony. At least, season 1 for now. Let's get into it. Right. Friendship is Magic Part 1 is S tier, because in the storybook, Princess Celestia and Princess Luna were the rulers of Sun and Moon, of course, for day and night time, until then, the elements of harmony were evolved too, but also Princess Luna, of course, then turns to Nightmare Moon to try to take over the world, but then gets sealed in the moon by, Princess Celestia, and Twilight Sparkle settles out to find 5 new friends: Applejack, Pinkie Pie, Fluttershy, Rarity, and Rainbow Dash. And then eventually at the end, at the summer celebration, when every pony was expecting Princess Celestia, Nightmare Moon appears and plans on making the night last forever, and then that's part 1.
I guess I could agree with you on that. I guess it's S tier. Alright, let's get to part 2 then. Yeah.
Friendship is Magic Part 2 is also S tier. First, Nightmare Moon disappears, so then the main 6, of course, settle out to defeat Nightmare Moon. And of course, first, trees, with spooky faces are there, and, Pinkie Pie doesn't scream at them, but instead laughs at them, which then drew Pinkie Pie's great song, and I really liked it. Makes everybody laugh at the trees, which make the trees then, of course, laugh. And then after different obstacles like Fluttershy helping out a lion, and then of course Rainbow Dash not accepting the Thunderbolts, then they make it of course to the palace, and then of course Nightmare Moon destroys the elements of harmony, so then eventually the main 5 get the 5 elements of harmony, and then of course Twilight Sparkle get the last one, since they use a beam of friendship against Nightmare Moon. Nightmare Moon then gets defeated, and so then Princess Celestia is rescued, and then we find out that Princess Celestia's sister is Princess Luna, so yeah, and then they throw a celebration, and that's the ending of part 2.
I guess I can agree with your opinion. I like the song, but not as much as you do, because it was just good. It was not the best, it was just good, yeah. Alright, let's get to part 3. Let's get to the 3rd episode, I meant.
The Ticketmaster is going into A tier. So, this episode is pretty good, with, having, 2 tickets from Princess Celestia given to, Twilight Sparkles and stuff to see, of course, a festival. But, of course, since she first encounters Applejack, who wants to really join, the show with her, but then everybody else wants to go and, join the show with, Twilight Sparkles. So then eventually they learn then that, they don't want to go because there's only 2 tickets. So then eventually they bring the tickets back to, or send the tickets back to Princess Celestia, and then Princess Celestia gives them the rest of the 6 tickets, of course, and yeah, then pretty much they get the tickets. So it's A tier, and it's whatever else like that. Yeah, it is that. It's a pretty good episode.
Would give the episode S tier, but alright, I guess I agree with your opinion then, yeah.
I'm scrolling down now. Give me a second here. Alright, so the next one is Applebuck season. It's getting A tier, of course. Alright, so for this one, you want to harvest all the apples ever, but sometimes you need to ask for friends for help to help you harvest, of course. And it teaches that if you get so tired, that ask friends for help, or else you end in a situation where you make a whole town of ponies get sick from disgusting muffins or cupcakes, of course, because yeah, but it's getting A tier. It's a pretty good episode.
Yeah, nice ranking there. I would give it A tier too. I like Big Mac with his constant use of yup. Yeah.
Okay, this next one might make someone upset. But so, Griffin the Brush Off is going in D tier. I don't really like this episode, as this is an episode where, yes, the Griffin, which I forgot her name, I'm probably gonna put her name on screen or something like that, so, is introduced, and, Rainbow Dash and her then race, of course. But so then Pinkie Pie, well, it starts out with them, with Pinkie Pie, bothering everybody, then, and then pranking everybody, of course, with Rainbow Dash. But yeah, so then whenever Pinkie Pie wants to see, Rainbow Dash, the Griffin constantly tortures Pinkie Pie and constantly messes with Pinkie Pie, and I can't see Pinkie Pie get tortured completely as I like Pinkie Pie. So even after the pranks that was actually done by Rainbow Dash in the party then that Pinkie Pie set up, I just can't with the Griffin simply just keep torturing Pinkie Pie and then just like whatever else like this. That's why it's a D tier episode, because I don't like that Pinkie Pie torture episode. I don't like it.
Okay, yeah, I agree with your opinion. Yeah, you're right. But I know somebody would definitely get upset why it's in D tier and they like it better. But yeah, it's not that good seeing Pinkie Pie get hurt in this episode. Or just not barely, but just the Griffin is just too harsh in this episode.
Wait, hold on a moment. I'm scrolling down. Give it a second. Alright, next episode. A tier. Ghostbusters is the episode that introduces the great and powerful Trixie as a character, and she's a pretty good character in it. But the only thing that why it's not getting S tier, of course, is because it introduces Snips and Snails, which are, well, I guess a good duo of characters in there, but they do two things wrong. Once they destroy Trixie's wagon, plus also summon the baby monster to wreak havoc in Ponyville. So they kind of were dumb to do that. So that's why I'm putting the episode in A tier, because like they should have not done that. But yeah, I think they can prove themselves in a different episode or something. Yeah.
Then Twilight Sparkle saves the day at the end of the episode. But yeah, I know some people might be mad if Snips and Snails were their favorite characters, being like, well, okay, like that's not fair. It should be S tier because they're pretty good in the episode. But honestly, I guess I agree with you with that. But I know somebody would get upset about it. Yeah.
Alright, give me a minute. I'm gonna get this next episode placed in tier list. I'm thinking right now. Alright, next one, Dragon Shy is going in A tier. The main concept of the episode is you may fear giant dragons with like Fluttershy, but eventually you able to outcome your fear to be able to help the dragon. And then I liked her attitude, then getting mad at the dragon, telling the dragon to move out because he's sleeping too noisy till he makes smoke appear in Ponyville. So yeah, and then yes, Rarity does try to commit theft, and Rainbow Dash does kick him in the nose, which goes a little bit too far, but no, it gets A tier because it's a pretty good episode. But yeah, like at least the dragon knows that he got hurt and stuff. But yeah, alright, yeah, next episode.
His Fluttershy does cheer him up then too, and then he leaves. But yeah, I guess A tier is good enough, I guess. I don't have nothing much to say about this. Alright, let's get to the next one.
Alright, next episode. Alright, give us a second. Alright, next episode is A tier. Look before you sleep. So in this episode, Rarity and Apple Bloom, well, it starts out first with them arguing with each other, of course, until eventually rains, where they try to hide, of course, and Rarity just doesn't want to get dirty because she doesn't want to get her mane dirty. So then they eventually go to Twilight Sparkle's house. Twilight Sparkle then wants to have a sleepover with them. So then when they play Truth or Dare, Rarity and Applejack argue. Then when they have a pillow fight, Rarity and Applejack argue again. Then Twilight Sparkles tells them a story about the headless horse, and then of course they argue when they sleep. Then, but then of course they didn't help each other out at the end, of course, and stay friends. But yeah, pretty good episode. Yeah.
I'm sorry, but this episode deserves D tier because literally I don't like it too much that they constantly argue the whole time without Twilight Sparkles then breaking it up until the very end. But alright, you do you then, yeah. Alright, let's get to the next episode.
Alright, I'm gonna look up for a second. Hold on a second. I'm checking. Alright, next one. Bridal Gossip is going S tier. So this is the episode that introduces Sakura and into the show, of course, and then where every pony is simply doesn't like Sakura and stuff and is afraid of her. So where then of course Applejack says to Apple Bloom that you're not a big pony, and then of course eventually Apple Bloom then settles out in the forest to meet Sakura, of course, and then Sakura tells them, of course, not to step into the blue flowers, and then the regular main of course, Twilight Sparkles, Pinkie Pie, and everyone else then steps in the blue flowers. So then the next day, then they all like Twilight Sparkle gets her horn messed up. Rainbow Dash gets her wings messed up. Of course, Pinkie Pie's tongue is messed up, and then of course then also Applejack is small. Then yeah, and then of course what's the funniest part is that Fluttershy's voice is a dude's voice, which is pretty funny to see then with the voice. It's pretty cool. So then eventually, since Apple Bloom had enough of Applejack bossing her around, she eventually then goes and helps Sakura out. They do eventually break the spells from the potion, of course, in the pot, but then they eventually do get their selves on whatever else like that. This is an episode where they think it's Sakura's evil when it's not. And if this episode was ranked on a scaled from someone else probably made this already as a video, but at the prediction. But if this was labeled as whatever else a racist thing, then yeah, then it would be the ponies are racist because they don't like a zebra. But that's just a different channel who does that, not me. I'm just ranking the episode.
Yeah, if we were ranking how racist they would be, the ponies, then this one would take the cake, definitely. But we're not, we're just ranking the season 1 episodes, so yeah. Alright, on to the next one, Scratch.
Alright, give me a minute for me to decide. Hold on a moment, give me a second. Right, Swarm of the Eccentric is A tier. So this one is so teaches a lesson about don't keep flies that keep multiplying each other and keep getting more and stuff, and to just do not keep them and just let them go away instead, because they can completely take over a whole town. I think so, yeah. That's what they did. They wrecked Ponyville, so yeah, that's what makes it so, yeah. Don't keep them, but they should have listened to Pinkie Pie's idea at the end, which then Pinkie Pie leads them with a parade into the Evergreen Forest, of course, and which was in the Bridal Gossip as well. But yeah, like, and then Princess Celestia comes thanking, of course, Pinkie Pie for the parade, yeah.
Yeah, I also thought it was gross for then one fly puking on Rarity's face just to create another fly. Yeah, it wasn't that of a good episode, but I guess your ranking is pretty good, Scratch.
Alright, give me a second. Hold on a second here. Alright, Winter Wrap-Up. A tier. I really like the song in this episode, and also that Twilight Sparkle tries every single thing to make herself in the team. Doesn't work, but then she eventually gets of course her own vest, or what it's called, I forgot what it was called, then to be part of the helper to help with, and then they clean up, of course, so spring will begin. Pretty good episode.
The song was good, but I didn't like it that much. But yeah, the name of the Gray Pegasus pony was still called Dootsie Doo in this episode. But yeah, Alright, on to the next episode.
Alright, I'm checking the list. Give me a second here. Alright. Alright, that looks good. Alright, the next episode. Call of the Cuties is S tier, of course. So in this episode, Mrs. Shirley teaches them about cutie marks, and then Apple Bloom wants their own cutie mark then, of course. And it was an introduction of Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon as well, which then bully her, of course, in the episode by passing note. But they're good bullies. Silver Spoon and Diamond Tiara are good bullies. They aren't bad at all, as they don't make anything bad of this episode. So then Apple Bloom settles out to try to find her cutie mark, but tries to do every single thing. Twist eventually then gets her own cutie mark, but she can't still get hers, so she tries to have Twilight Sparkle use her magic to get her own cutie mark. Then eventually Diamond Tiara invites them to her party. So then she shows up to her party, and then after Diamond Tiara bullies her a couple bit more, then Scootaloo and Sweetie Belle appear and help out Apple Bloom in the episode. So then they think of a name to call their trio, of course. So then eventually Apple Bloom says, we can be the Cutie Mark Crusaders. And then, of course, they settle out on try to find her cutie mark. And that's the end of the episode, and that's why it's S tier.
Not to be mean or anything, but I don't think so that they're the best trio, honestly. They're just good, but not the best. But when Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon kept bullying them, even after Scootaloo and Sweetie Belle appear, I just didn't like it that much. So I would give it A tier, but I guess I respect your opinion with S tier, but alright.
Alright, give me a second. Hold up here. Hold on a second. Alright, I'm getting this thing to work. Alright. Fall Weather Friends is A tier. This episode has Rainbow Dash and Applejack. They go in a competition of racing, of course. So then Applejack and Rainbow Dash, they race then in a marathon, of course. They go through different obstacles they go through. So then eventually Rainbow Dash wins. So then Applejack says that Rainbow Dash cheated, and Rainbow Dash says no, but then eventually they do one more race where Applejack ties, of course, Rainbow Dash's wings with a rope. So then they constantly, of course, mess each other up midway into the race, and they do laugh at Twilight Sparkles for competing in the race. But then eventually at the end, of course, Twilight Sparkle wins, and they were too late. But yeah, I guess good episode. Yeah, it's good. Alright, on to the next one.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the episode more, so I'd give it S tier, but I respect your opinion, so yeah.
Alright, next episode. Suited for Success. An S tier episode, as we learn about fashion, plus also that to learn that your first simple dress that Rarity made you should be more important than your regular different dresses that she made later on in the episodes, because the main manager or designer dislikes their dresses Rarity later on made them, but only likes the ones that Rarity made first. Yeah, pretty good episode. I liked it. What's your opinion on the episode, Morton?
I like it A tier, but I think Wendy likes this one a bit more than I do, so yeah, whatever, A tier, I guess.
Wait, give me a second, hold on. I'm just checking it, hold on a second. Right, that looks good. Alright. Feeling Pinky Keen is A tier. Because in this episode, Pinkie Pie's body shakes, and it applies that something bad is happening. That means, like, Twilight Sparkle gets injured in this episode a lot, but then eventually at the end it's revealed that Pinkie Pie the whole time was the, like the main thing, not a dragon, was her the whole time, being the whole, like, surprise, or what it is, yeah.
Alright, I will give it A tier too, alright, yeah, alright, let's move on to the next episode, alright, yeah.
Alright, give me a second, hold on a second, alright, I'm scrolling down, Alright, next episode. Sonic Rain Boom is also A tier episode. So in this episode, Rainbow Dash tries to do the sonic rain boom in flight, but fails at it first. So then, of course, Twilight Sparkle puts a spell on Rarity to make her gain butterfly wings, which then later on makes everybody be interested into Rarity's butterfly wings, of course. And then, of course, Rarity makes it first to Clouddale, and then, of course, then the other ponies used a spell to be able to walk on clouds, which is pretty cool. I like when it's magic put in, it's pretty cool. But then, yeah, then, of course, the bullies that, bully Rainbow Dash in the episode first. Then Rainbow Dash, after Rarity's wings break, Rainbow Dash saves, Rarity, and then she's able to perform the Sonic Rain Boom, and then after that, after winning, everybody cheers, plus the bullies apologize for bullying Rainbow Dash earlier. And yeah, that's the episode. So what's your opinion, Morton?
I think this episode deserves S tier, but I agree with you. Plus, this episode has nothing to do with Sonic or anything like that, so don't get confused if it has the words Sonic and Boom in it. It's not a Sonic episode, it's a different one. Yeah, let's get to the next episode.
Next episode, Stairmaster, S tier. In this episode, Sweetie Belle wrecks Rarity's workshop, or regular shop and stuff. So then Fluttershy asks to help to take Sweetie Belle to her cottage. So then Apple Bloom and Scootaloo appear, one in doing a Cutie Mark Crusaders sleepover. So then Fluttershy takes them back to her cottage. So then they start of course wrecking her cottage, of course, and keep breaking things and scaring animals off. So then eventually Fluttershy sings them a bedtime song, and then it backfires with Scootaloo singing a rock version, and then they eventually, when Fluttershy is sleeping, they head into the Forever Green Forest and stuff. So then next we see Twilight Sparkle's turned into stone. So then we see, of course, the when the evil chicken appears, the Cutie Mark Crusaders start to scream, and then Fluttershy stares at the evil chicken back. The evil chicken almost turns her into stone until then Fluttershy once again yells at the evil chicken, and then the evil chicken retreats and turns Twilight Sparkle's back into herself from stone. So yeah, good episode. I really like it a lot because it has the Cutie Mark Crusaders in it. So what do you think about it?
I'm gonna say this episode is A tier because I didn't like it that much to see the Cutie Mark Crusaders wreck Fluttershy and of course Rarity's workshop, regular house. But yeah, it's nice to see Fluttershy once again crash out against a creature and stuff to scare it off. It's always good. But yeah, right. Next episode.
Alright, give me a second. Hold on a second. Hold up here. The Showstoppers, S tier episode. So this was the episode where Applejack gave Apple Bloom her own treehouse. So then Scootaloo and Sweetie Belle, they set out to try to find the cutie marks and stuff, and after that doesn't work, Mrs. Shirley or Twilight Sparkles, I don't remember, I think either one of them recommended them to go at the talent show. So of course then Sweetie Belle sings a very, very catchy song, of course. So then eventually at the talent show we first see Snips and Snails again. They perform a magic trick, and of course, Snails eats the carrots, and then Snips gets mad at Snails, of course. But at least it's a better episode with them both in it, at least, which is good, because after the last episode they were in, they weren't that good in that one, but they improved in that episode. Then after everybody takes their turns, of course, then Apple Bloom, Scootaloo, and Sweetie Belle sing a super rock song plus their own We Are the Cutie Mark Crusaders song that is super duper good, and if you dislike the song and them, then you really have a problem. So yeah,
I think the song was good, but it wasn't the best, so I give this episode A tier. And plus I really didn't like it how Scootaloo almost ran over Granny Smith, so this is why I'm just gonna give it A tier. But alright, on to the next episode.
Alright, give me a second. Hold on a second here. Hold up. Alright, next episode. a dog and pony show. So in this episode, Rarity settles out with Spike to go get more diamonds, and of course, the underground dogs spy on Rarity and Spike, of course. So then eventually, the underground dogs capture Rarity. So then Spike grabs the rest of the 5 to help him out and stuff. So of course, the only reason why I'm putting this in S tier this episode is because I really like the dream where Spike pretended to be like Prince Charming or a knight, of course, tried to rescue, of course, Rarity from the strong underground dogs. Like, I really like the dream Spike had there, but besides from that, it was a pretty good episode. So yeah, and and then of course of Rarity pretending to be a damsel in distress, and then of course crying at them, that makes then underground dogs finally be like, all right, we had enough, take all the treasure you want, just get out. And they pretty much say that then, and yeah.
Alright, yeah, I agree with your ranking. Plus, one of them sounds like Stitch from Lilo and Stitch, but yeah, cool. Alright, next episode.
Alright, next episode. Give me a second. Hold on a second. Hold up. Alright, next episode. Green isn't your color. So, A tier. So, in this episode, Rarity wants fame, but instead, of course, the paparazzi, I guess, pony, instead likes Fluttershy more. So Fluttershy then gets into multiple different photo shoots to then eventually Fluttershy says she hates being famous. So then, of course, eventually Twilight Sparkle makes her mess up on the show. It still doesn't work, and the whole episode also concept is Twilight Sparkle not telling of course, that Spike has a crush on Rarity in this episode. Pretty good episode. I like it. A tier. All right. Next episode, of course. You have one more opinion, Morton?
Alright, pretty good, I guess. Alright, yeah, alright. Let's just get into the next ranking. Alright, let's go then. Yeah. Alright.
Alright, give me a second. Hold on a second. Give me a second. Alright. Yeah. Alright. Next episode. Over a Barrel, S tier episode. So this episode teaches you to not plant apple trees down without someone's permission, of course. So it was the introduction of the Buffalo characters. So they don't want apple trees there. So then the regular cowboy ponies, they then eventually get into a war with the buffaloes, of course, and eventually at the end that the buffaloes like the pies that the townsfolk made, so then of course they make pies, and that's the episode. It's a pretty good episode, so yeah.
Alright, I give this episode A tier. I like it, but it's not the best. But I think Larry would have liked this episode more. But yeah, alright. Let's get into the next episode.
Alright, hold on a second. Give me a second. Hold up a second. Alright. A Bird in the Hoof. This is an A tier episode. So in this episode, Pinkie Pie has another one of her parties and stuff, and then Princess Celestia is invited to one of her parties, of course. So then after Fluttershy then talks to Princess Celestia for a while, then Princess Celestia leaves her bird behind. So then Fluttershy takes her bird back to her cottage, and then the sick bird, of course, still coughs, and she tries to give the bird soup, and of course tries to calm down the bird, plus also give it a pill. The bird refuses on that, till eventually Twilight Sparkle shows up saying, what are you doing with Princess Celestia's bird? So then eventually the Royal Guard show up. They ask, have you seen the bird? So then eventually they go on a chase to chase around the bird, of course, until eventually after the Royal Guard see the bird turns to ashes, and then Fluttershy, thinking that she will get sent in a prison or locked up in the Evergreen Forest, then of course Princess Celestia says that her bird always sheds. That's why he looks like that, but he's a fire bird who is a bird that can simply be fire, I think, yeah. So then, of course, Rainbow Dash asks the bird to tickle the royal guards, so they laugh, because they didn't laugh earlier when Rainbow Dash wanted to make them laugh. But yeah, that's the episode.
Alright, yeah, I like this episode too. I will give it the same tier as you like it too. Alright, on to the next episode, alright.
A second, give me a second, hold up. The Cutie Mark Chronicles S tier episode. So this episode, Apple Bloom, Scootaloo, and Sweetie Belle want to learn how the 6 ponies got their cutie marks. So Applejack tells them that she got it from returning back to the farm, her cutie mark. Then of course with Fluttershy's with then her love for animals after she got completely fell from Cloudsdale, of course. And then of course Pinkie Pie from randomly seeing a rainbow and made her love parties, of course. And then of course Twilight Sparkles with accidentally a rainbow made her gain magic and made it so she completely succeeds at an experiment. And then of course Rarity, after she tries to find for jewelry, a rock breaks, showing a lot of diamonds there. And then, of course, last, of course, Rainbow Dash, of course, she wins the race against the bullies who bullied her from the other episode, so yeah.
We'll also give the episode S tier, because had it was not for Rainbow Dash for being able to perform the Sonic Rain Boom, then the main other 5 ponies would not got their cutie marks. So yeah. Alright, on to the last 2 episodes.
Alright, give me a second. Hold on a second here. Alright. Owls Well That Ends Well. Another A tier episode. So in this episode, Spike is Twilight Sparkle's first of course companion, of course. So then of course eventually when Spike accidentally sneezes and burns a book, of course, then an owl comes. Then Spike gets jealous of the owl, so eventually Spike doesn't like the owl, so then eventually Twilight Sparkle gets mad at Spike. So then eventually, after everybody likes the owl more than Spike, Spike eventually leaves Twilight Sparkles after he first framed the owl, of course. And then he goes to the Evergreen Forest. He makes it into the cave with another dragon. Then the other dragon tries to free fire at him, and then of course Spike is saved by the owl, and then eventually Spike thanks the owl, and then the episode ends with the owl winking at us. So yeah, pretty good episode.
Yeah, A tier, I guess. Yeah, I don't have too much of an opinion or don't think it's bad or anything. Maybe season 2 will change my mind, but yeah, alright.
Alright, next episode. Hold on a second, alright. Party of One. Alright, S tier episode. So this episode, Pinkie Pie hosts a party and stuff, and everybody enjoyed her party, of course. And then after she's done with her party, of course, then she wants to invite them to a party again. So then everybody then doesn't want to, and then makes excuses. But then eventually Pinkie Pie sees through the excuses, and eventually, and of course does spy on them then, and eventually Pinkie Pie gets sad that they don't want to party with her anymore. So then eventually Pinkie Pie ends up setting up a bunch of friends that are made out of regular like veggies or regular rock and stuff, and has them as friends instead, until Rainbow Dash shows up then and tells her, we have got you a party. Then Pinkie Pie gets mad at Rainbow Dash. Then Rainbow Dash eventually drags of course Pinkie Pie to Applejack's barn and stuff, and they have another party. And then Pinkie Pie goes from mad / sad to happy again, and they enjoyed another party. Yeah.
This episode belongs in A tier, I guess. Yeah, it was pretty good, but whatever else. Alright, let's get to the last episode.
Hold on a second, give me a second. Wait a second, alright. Alright. The Best Night Ever goes in A tier. So in this episode, Princess Celestia invites every 6 pony in the party to of course, Canterlot, Twilight Sparkle's hometown. So then eventually, the main six make it there, of course. So then they do their regular, think they're gonna have a really good night until eventually start messing up. Like, for example, Pinkie Pie, then annoys everybody and they don't like it. Jack doesn't get any more customers eventually. Fluttershy goes from simply wanting to see the other animals to trying to capture them and goes insane completely. And then eventually Pinkie Pie breaks the statue, of course, of Princess Celestia, as seen as in the book. And of course, Rainbow Dash can't simply have the Wonderbolts simply be by her when the Wonderbolts are distracted talking to other ponies. Yeah, and yeah, then everybody else is and of course Twilight Sparkle can't simply talk to Princess Celestia while other guests are trying to greet Princess Celestia. Yeah, until eventually the main six think they're in trouble from Princess Celestia. Then Spike shows up in the end of the episode at the donut spot. Then the main pony up front says he knows Twilight Sparkles, of course. So then eventually, after they think they have did something bad, Princess Celestia says that the celebration always is bad. So that's the episode. So what do you think? Your last opinion on this episode?
Alright, I will give this episode 8 here as well. Alright, if you liked the whole season 1 of us reviewing it, then stay tuned until season 2. And when that comes out, but for now, goodbye everybody, and we will see you in part 2. Bye!
Bye.